Welcome to the F3 Knoxville family of podcasts. Hello and welcome to this second episode of the relaunch of F3 Knoxville's Beyond the COT. I'm Blindside here, coming at you live from my screened-in back porch on a lovely Sunday evening. Spent most of the day working in the yard, tearing down an old swing set, using a sawzall to really to get it into usable pieces of wood and really killing my forearms. So I hope you guys were able to enjoy the wonderful, beautiful Knoxville weekend that we had this weekend. I'm sure spent most of the hours of sunlight outside this weekend. It was amazing, perfect weather all around. Gotta soak it in before we know it. There's gonna be 90, 100 degree days coming. So enjoying this lovely spring weather is always fun. So this episode of Beyond the COT is gonna be a little bit shorter than last week's, and a little bit shorter than what I want them to be. And the reason that for that is you can blame my 7-year-old 2.0. Not really though. She had a dance competition up in Gatlinburg this weekend, and her and the M had to leave around 6 o'clock Saturday morning to get up there in time. So I wasn't able to post on Saturday morning at the Asylum like I had planned on doing. My plan was to get some sneaky interviews in with some of the hymns there at cafeteria afterwards. And I wasn't able to do that, so I had to stay home with the other kids, and didn't get those interviews in. That'll just teach me not to plan for the last minute. So this episode will just be a little bit shorter. Talk a little bit about our AO of the month, the Asylum AM, and then we'll talk a little bit about the 8 block, which if you happen to have posted one weekend in, I believe, late December, early January, you heard about the 8 block twice from myself and Lazy Boy. So I'm going to let this intro finish out, and we'll go ahead and get started. So as everyone heard last week, this month's AO of the month for March of 2022 is Asylum AM, the very first AO here in F3 Knoxville. And a little recap, Asylum AM meets 5 weekdays and Saturdays. So the weekday times, it's 5:30 to 6:15. Right now they're meeting at the lower parking lot in front of the baseball fields. I did hear recently that the Asylum PM guys are changing their meeting location back up to the gravel lot in front of the admin building. So a little mumble chatter news drop there. I did see that on Slack today. So Asylum AM, I've queued there a couple times. Oh, there's the neighbor dog. Come say, hey, how you doing? So this is going to be fun. Let's see how this works. So the Asylum AM, I've queued. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and pause here and come back in a second. All right, we're back. So Asylum AM, I've queued there a couple times. Did that back in the fall, I believe, maybe in the summer. Went there for a queue where I was still new to queuing. Definitely it was the first time I'd queued somewhere that wasn't the Equalizer or Dog Pound, and I think I about killed a couple of those guys because I just wasn't like I said, not used to queuing, and I think I did 21s with American Hammers and Flutter and Push or Merkins or something. It was just I had to adapt and overcome and really change things up as I went. So the Asylum is a special place, not only because it's the first AO in F3 Knoxville, but it's massive. That Lakeshore Park, everyone knows, is pretty huge. And one of the cool things about the Asylum there and the guys at the Asylum, they've named almost every location there, from Cardiac to Everest to Baby Everest to Pickett's Charge, which is not historically accurate. The tiered levels of Pickett's Charge, that's not what happened in Gettysburg. It did end in a massacre for the Confederates, and usually when the guys run up Pickett's Charge, it ends in a massacre similarly. We've got the Coliseum up there where we have the best sunrise in America, TM. It's true. It's in the record books. It is the best sunrise in America. And the newly minted lily pad that is down there by where the old baseball fields are. It's just a really cool place that has really cool meaning, some names, and everything around there. I really love it whenever I get to head over to the Asylum, whether it's Saturdays because it's my normal Saturday post, or it's on random weekdays. I was able to post over there last week, week before last actually, for the Friday before the CSOP. That's right. So it turned into a double wide accidental leg day, which made that CSOP on Saturday pretty difficult, to say the least. So, I'm headed over there this week on Wednesday the 9th. I'll be queuing over there for the Asylum AM for the AO of the month. So I am planning on going over there and queuing at every AO of the month location during that time that they are AO of the month. And then next week in this section of Beyond the COT, we're going to be talking to Rainbow. Rainbow, who is the current AOQ over there at the Asylum. We'll talk a little bit about his background and some of his duties as AOQ over there at the I guess it's the only one that's 6 days a week. It is a 6 day a week AO, and how difficult that is for him as the AOQ and getting that calendar filled and all that stuff. So come back next week for that interview with Rainbow. So the F3 thing this week that I want to talk about is the 8 block. So I mentioned earlier that if you happen to be at the dog pound during, I think it was the beginning of January or end of December, either one of those days, you heard about the 8 block. So both Lazy Boy and I both had our bombs that day during the COT be about the 8 block. So I first heard about this on a F3 Nation, the Stuff We're Trying podcast on the F3 Nation, and it originally comes from CSPAN, and so I'm going to pull up he's from F3 Carpex. It's Cary and Apex, North Carolina, and the idea behind a 8 block is anything worth trying is worth tracking. And so some of you may know, like, I keep a F3 notebook in my car, in my van. It's where I track my posts, I track my rucks, I track my runs, I track my cues, I plan my cues in it. But what else I've done is I put my 8 block actually in the back of it as well. So let me kind of explain first, what the 8 block is. So the idea behind it also is to identify the areas you need to work on in your life, and what is slowing down your growth, and you write them down so you can focus on overcoming them. So what C-SPAN actually does is he talks about having a piece of paper that you do a vertical line and a horizontal line, creating 4 boxes. And you do that on the front and back of the paper. And each one of the boxes represents something that you can track, that you can write down, that you can try to overcome. So that first box, kind of moving top to bottom, left to right. So the top left box, that's your concentrica, which is a really cool way of saying it's the most important relationships in your life. What you do is you've got the M, the most important, the M in the center, 2.0s on the way out. Then you've got your shield lock, your blade, and mammon. So what I've done with this is I've put in, the names of my M and my 2.0s and shield locks. And before, with the blade stuff, I really haven't really didn't get what the blade in Mammon was. I haven't finished reading Free to Lead or started the Q source. So what I kind of made the blade was, guys that push me during workouts, those that would try to sharpen myself. And then with the Mammon, I put the things that were most important outside of those workouts and my M 2.0 shield box. So like this is things like my work at school, my PhD work that I'm working on and finishing, and it's learning about new things. So I have these in the back of my notebook. I've actually written everything down on there's a PDF that I used, and then I use a different color highlighter for each one of the rings. It's like a target, so they kind of stand out a little bit. The second quadrant, the bottom left quadrant, that's your second F. So the second F we know is fellowship, and so these don't have to be F3 guys, but this is you're supposed to list 3 guys that you want to spend extra time with, and the whole point is to you name them. And so for me, these are people that either I want to get to know better or reestablish relationships over the year. So that second F, who will you invest in? Who are the people that you're investing in? Up to the top, next is the top right, and that's the third F. It's easiest to plan and toughest to follow through. And so I really suggest being as specific as possible. It's how do you improve or do things differently. And so instead of just reading the Bible more or daily prayer or more consistent service, acts of service, I found myself being as descriptive as possible. So this is things like a set daily prayer, a set time, a set order, a set thing to do every day. I'm starting something for Lent this year that is for the first time, and making sure that I'm doing that. It's making sure that I get in the car on the way to work and I do listen to my daily reflection podcast and don't skip it for that day. So it's being the most, this one's the easiest one to plant, but definitely the hardest one to follow through. And as a priest friend of mine has said, the hardest day to read your Bible is the day after the day you didn't read it. So getting back into good habits there is always important. Next, what we're looking at the bottom right, that's the first F. That's the fourth quadrant there, your fitness goals and tracking. And this one is, for me, was one of the easiest ones just because of, I was already tracking last year's F3 stuff. Once I realized that I was consistently posting and consistently doing things, I really wanted to start tracking. So this one I'm gonna spill a little bit of what I've got on here. So my goals are consistency in tracking and consistency with my workout and diet plans. So I've got a diet plan and a workout plan in the back here as well, where I've made edits. Because sometimes, back in January or late December, we can be a little overzealous with our goals, but being consistent with what I do have planned. I really want to do some more event-style things this year when it comes to first F. We had our CSOP last week, and so that was definitely on there. I want to get back into running more 5Ks. I did that a lot prior to being an F3. And did the turkey trot last Thanksgiving down at Turkey Creek, and really remembered how much I love doing those things. I also am looking at doing ruck events. So I've done one in January, I believe, the one that was at 511 Tactical. I think that was somewhere around mid-January. And I want to do a downrange event. So whether that's a CSOP at a different region, a convergence at a different region, and anything, I've kind of had my ear to the ground looking for that. And then part of this first F is, who are you EHing? And so I've added cottering as well. Cotter, KOTTER, like welcome back Cotter, someone that's been gone for a long time. And so I've got a list right here of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 guys that I listed of guys that I want to try to EH or Cotter, have them come back into the gloom. I don't know how successful I'll be. All the FNGs that I brought out so far this year are not even on this list, so I found that interesting. So that's the first page of the 8 block, and the reason why it's done on one sheet of paper is because the back page is a little bit more personal. And so C-SPAN, when he was writing about this the first time, was like, if you put this on the refrigerator, it's these first 4 that face out. And those are the things like your concentrica, your first, your second, and your third Fs. That's for everybody to see. That's for the world to see. It's the back that can be a little bit more personal. And so that would be what goes against the refrigerator. And so if you flip over to the back, you've got your top left, the fifth block there is your jester. Is what is holding you back? What is the thing that keeping you from being the best you can be? If you haven't thought about it, it can be really hard to figure out what your jester is. For me, it's procrastination. It's the need for noise. It's selfishness. All these things are what's holding me back from being the best man that I can be right now. So, the jester, without some self-reflection can be hard to figure out. But once you have it written down, you see it every day, you know that you can avoid it or work towards avoiding it. The bottom left quadrant on the back is date night. And that's exactly what it sounds like. It's dating your M. It's dating your 2.0. You should never stop dating your M, and you should demonstrate how your 2.0 should treat or be treated by any future spouses, boyfriends, girlfriends, that sort of thing. You date your M and you date your 2.0, keeping in mind where each of them are in your concentrica, because that M is the most important, but then right outside that is your 2.0. The top right quadrant is listed as like mental sharpness. And so what I have here is like books, podcast practices, etc. What are you putting into your mind? What are you listening to? What are you reading? What are you consuming? And I wrote down some shows that I have decided to stop watching. I have put down some podcasts that I've decided to stop listening to, and then doing a little bit more connected with that third F of some of the entertainment or some of the media that I consume go with that as well. So mental sharpness, what are you putting into your brain? What are you putting into your ears? And then the bottom, the last one, that's ALR. So that's ask, listen, and remember. And so this is someone who can be, it's listing out people that are advice givers. So, a mentor, someone who can help you with your third F, someone that can, give you advice, someone that you can learn from. Find someone that you feel knows more about something that you do, and then learn from them. So find a mentor, and you can find a mentor in, any aspect of life, whether that's, someone who knows more about parenting, someone who knows more about dating their M, someone who knows more about their faith. Finding a mentor in different areas is perfect for you. So that's what the ALR, ask, listen, and remember. And this is a perfect opportunity to kind of talk a little bit more about the Whetstone project that F3 Knoxville is starting. All you have to do is reach out to Judge Judy
taking that first step is important. I did it myself over the weekend, and I'm already looking forward to that whetstone and blade relationship. So, the 8 block. You can find these all over the internet. If you Google F3 8 block, you'll probably hear or be able to read about what I've just said. There's PDF copies on several of my backblasts where I've talked about the 8 block. You can also read about some of the things that CSPAN has written about, as well as listen to several podcasts around late in the year. Every year they kind of recycle some of those, because this is really kind of used as almost a New Year's, not resolution, but a New Year's reset and refocus. That's how I used it, as a reset and refocus. And I did exactly what it suggested. I've got my 8 block up on the refrigerator. I shared it with my M. I shared it with my 2.0s. I put it to where I see it every day on my refrigerator. I have another copy at my desk at work. I've cut each of these squares out and pasted them in to the back of my F3 notebook, so I see them every day. This is a real intentional way of putting your goals in front of you, and when you're forced to look at them every day, then it makes them that much more attainable and achievable, and you can remember them and don't lose sight of those goals that you have. So I know it's March, and I said it was usually a New Year's reset and resolution type thing, but you can always do an 8 block. I plan on reevaluating mine now that I've explained it to you all. There's some things that I know that I feel like I can change in it and refine and make better. So it doesn't have to be a New Year's thing. So get you a piece of paper, make squares, and follow along and fill out an 8 block. That'll do it for this week's Beyond the Cot. We talked a little bit about the asylum. We had a visit from my neighbor's dog. A little bit more about the 8 block, and really search out that and try to find a PDF copy of that, or just do it on your own on a piece of paper. Remember to come back here on Wednesday for Picking Up the 6. As always, this is Davis Bodie, 34, Blindside. Thank you for listening to this F3 Knoxville podcast. Please subscribe, rate, and review in your favorite podcast app to help us grow the show. And share this with any sad clown in your life that might need a little F3 to get them going.